Hi and welcome to Corner Room Designs project. So today we're looking at small spaces, how to maximize a tiny room or a tiny space. So today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that you can use to make your small space function and work and feel good and do it in a sustainable way. So we're here in a room of the house which we all called the slaughterhouse when we moved in. It was white, but it had been painted over an aqua, and it was like a very thin coat of white. So it felt like a freezer room that you might hang your dead animals to drain or something. It was awful. It's echoey, it's tiny, and the colored window frame, still being the aqua, it actually makes the room look even smaller because when you have a window frame like that, your eye is drawn to it. The ceiling slopes down, so it's like the ceiling is sloping down to the window and the window's drawing your eye into this tiny space. So it's like, it feels a little like Wonka's Funhouse. We've lived in the space, so we know how it works. This is a beautiful sunny room, but it still feels cold, so we need to make the most of it, the sun coming in, and make it feel a bit warmer because it does feel really chilly right now. So I'm going to warm it up. So to start off with the paint. So I've got some paint already from the Natural Paint Company that I'm going to use. I've got, you can see the colour there, it's a grey colour, so it's called Vintage, and it's like a really warm grey. And then I've just got some white from the Natural Paint Company to do the window frame. Yeah, really great paint, VOC free, which means after I paint it in here, it's going to be absolutely fine to set up in here and be in here and breathe in here. I'm going to get coated grey on the walls. And I'm actually going to paint the ceiling grey too, because I want to see what it looks like to have all of this grey, and I'm going to leave that wall white. And it should, when you walk in, it should make it look like it opens up to that side. Take any old fixings off the walls or windows and give everything a good sand and wipe. I always like to paint the joinery first, getting a good coat in between the joinery and the wall. So once your joinery is complete and you're happy with the finish, you can move on to your wall colour. So sometimes it can be really hard to decide whether you want to keep your skirtings white or if you want to paint them the same colour as the walls. For a tiny room like this, I'm going to, as you can see here, I'm going to paint them the same colour as the walls, because when you paint them the same colour as the walls, what you're doing is you're elongating the walls. Even with a nice dark colour like this Vintage from the Natural Paint Company, you're still going to need a really good 2 coats to give it a good finish. Painted that wall. If you're going to be painting the floors, make sure to sand it really well and give the floor a clean. If you're painting the floors or any varnished area, make sure to do a test patch first to see if the varnish is going to bleed through. If it does, you're going to need to put a really good sealer down before applying the paint. Give your floors as much time as possible to dry completely before walking on them. A really good tip for saving on waste when it comes to using tape, avoid using tape completely and just practice getting a really steady hand going when doing straight lines. So as soon as your paint is all dry, then you're ready to move in your furniture. So let's look at the steps I took when designing this room. Number 1 was function. Because we're in such a tiny house, we need to use this room as the piano room. Half of our kitchen is in this room. It's the dining room, and it's also my office. And it's really small. But you need to know what you want to use the space for. Number 2, you probably want to look at colours. That's what I did for this space, because colours can make the room feel warm, cool, big, small. It really is important to get your colours right to create the feel of the room. So number 3, you want to look at your space saving ideas. Things I've done in this room is, for example, you can see I've got a round table, so I don't have corners jutting out, using space that I really don't have to give. For the piano table, you'll see that we've used a floating shelf that you can see all the way to the wall rather than a cabinet or a table sort of stopping short. That means your eye stops short and it makes the room look way smaller. I'm a plants person, so we've got to have plants. In this case, I decided to hang them, and it's definitely made the room look way more spacious to have less stuff on the floor. So once you've got all those ideas of how you can save space, you do want to look at sustainability. The table was secondhand, it was only $100, it was amazing. The chairs we've used are also secondhand and they didn't need any work at all. They're interesting, they're made of timber, they bring warmth, they've got wicker on the seats, they're beautiful. You know, the golden parrots that you'll see, they've been used in so many spaces. They just get handed around from place to place. I've repainted them gold so they have a brand new look, but I haven't purchased anything new. This pin board behind me, because it's my office, I do need a pin board. It's basically some fabric that was left over from a job, and I've actually just covered a piece of, it was an old pin board, it was really, really ugly and you really wouldn't want that on your wall. The only thing that we have purchased new for this room was the lampshade, and there was no lampshade in here. I couldn't find anything secondhand, and so I have purchased a lampshade, but I made sure that it's just made of wicker. So it was the most environmentally friendly option I could find, completely natural product. But I do hope that this will inspire you to follow those steps, and you know, even if your space is tiny, you can do amazing things with a tiny space. I love tiny spaces. So maximize it, follow those steps, be sustainable, and let me know how you go. I would love to see some of, you know, the tiny spaces that you guys have created. Feel free to like and share, and I'll see you next time.